not all life changes involve a liminal transition. Let it sink in for a moment. By the way, my name is Natasha, and you're back to the Liminal World Project. We often panic the moment something changes in our lives, thinking, the whole world is collapsing. But the truth is that not all change is an identity change. According to American scholars Noble and Walker, purchasing a new home in the same neighborhood or city, acquiring a new pad, does not disrupt our internal sense of self, right? These changes, they don't shake our position within the social system, right? Life events that create a true liminal transition tend to involve roles that are more central to our self-definition. And I want to dive deep into that core self, the self that is more central to who we are. Do we actually know who and what is included in that self? And to what extent does it stretch beyond our own skin? To answer that question, I want us to look at the work of American academic Russell W. Belk. He conceptualized self as something extending far beyond purely internal and individual. And he termed this the extended self. Belk argued that self encompasses not only me, my body and my mind, but also something we refer to as mine. So he said that those external elements could be, he categorized those external elements into major external domains, right? And before I mention them, I want you to imagine, I used to, when I read, I imagined myself, my body and my mind, in the center, and then a lot of concentric circles that were expanding outward from that core, right? So my body, my mind, and then he said things like house, car, piano, books, cherished gifts, whatever. Then extended self is our people, family, friends, immediate community, nation, right? Environments, so place we live, places we frequent, nature itself, right? Also activities and experiences or creations like artwork, something we produce, ideas, experiences, memories, right? Our work, right? So the self actually, according to Belk, becomes something that we cherish, we protect. Those external elements become major contributors to, but also deep reflection of our true identity, right? And he uses the word with which I struggled, have to admit I struggled. He says, he's calling them possessions. But he's making a good point when he says, it's as if we have them, we possess them, we control them. I struggled, I'm not struggling when you say I possess my house, but I struggle with saying I possess my child, right? I don't know. Yeah, but he's making a good point. All those external elements or possessions are also, we are in their control. So not only that we possess them, but in a way they are controlling us, right? If we have included them in that extended self, right? So it's very important to know who or what is the part of that extended self. So let's see how this plays out in daily life. If we say that we are deeply attached to our profession, what we're actually saying is that what we produce, what we create, what we make is an essential part of us. or simply it's us, right? When we say that a regional identity is our core, like it's part of that extended us, what we are actually saying is that our community, the place we live, right, all the experiences we have cultivated there are inseparable part of who we are. I wanted us to clarify this because when we are talking about liminal transition, or transitions, plural, right, we are actually talking about these, or the shifts that are affecting this extended self, like all the parts of ourselves that are inseparable or essential to us. Liminal transitions always involve two processes that can be both can be very intense, right? But two processes that are happening almost simultaneously: identity destruction and identity reconstruction, right? So what is actually deconstructing the extended self? Body, mind, things, environments, people. And what is going to be reconstructed? The same self, like body, mind, things, people, right? So I'm going to walk you to two scenarios. First one is when that liminal transition or identity destruction and reconstruction is expected or wanted, even wanted. When I say expected, I mean whether you want it or not, you will transition into physical puberty. At a certain age, your body will do the job, right? Without you even asking or wanting. Also expected, for example, at least all the parts of the world that I have lived in, once you reach 5, 6, or 7, you're starting school. That's it, right? So it's expected. Wanted, let's see two scenarios of wanted liminal transitions. For example, I am leaving or removing myself from my birthplace so I can start university, and in that new place I'm going to make my new home, right, within a brand new city. So I'm willingly removing this part of myself in order to recreate or reconstruct myself somewhere else. Or another example, I might have loved being single and spending my disposable income on high heels or books, traveling, yeah. But now I am ready to move in with my partner, and I want to invest in shared home. So as you see, in this both situation, your extended self is altering, but you are willingly, consciously or not consciously, but you are investing yourself in that exciting energy of recreation of that self. So you are removing yourself from old self by choice. Belk will say, when possessions are recognized to be inconsistent with our current sense of self, right, we are gladly neglecting them, withdrawing from them or removing them altogether, right? So the build-up, the creation of that self is somehow, it's like joyful. So what are you actually doing during that reconstruction? You are creating the new extended self, which means you are looking for places you like, you are seeking out people you feel aligned with, you are purchasing things that are reflection of new version of yourself, you are investing in experiences that will create new memories, and all those things are becoming your new self, right? Extended self. I know this process very well because I had a lot of joyful, wanted liminal transitions, such as, for example, motherhood. But for this video, I'm going to mention immigration to Canada. It's like I was ready to move to Canada. And when I came, what did I do? Okay, I found place, I found job, but I remember saying to my husband, you know, I would feel at ease, I would finally feel at ease when I knew where to take a casual walk, where is the place where I can just sit down and grab some coffee. I wanted to immerse into cross-cultural community gatherings, which I missed at my part of the world. So I was like ready to engage. I was like looking for the opportunity, right? Anywhere, in the park, at the beach, anywhere, community centers, anywhere, workplace, right? I was investing in establishing new routines, like new financial habits, for example, or new health practices. So bit by bit, I was creating that new extended self, right? And the process was tiring, frustrating, but more often than not, it was very joyful, right? Now I want you to look at complete, like different, and I would say even much heavier scenario, when liminal transition starts with sudden, unwanted, and even traumatic identity destruction. Belk would say, in this case, the disposition of possessions is forced upon you. So parting with them won't bring excitement. It will bring severe shock, deep sorrow, and profound disorientation. And he's giving a lot of examples of non-voluntary loss of possessions, in which people felt as if their sense of self is radically diminished. He gave an example of a lot of victims of natural disasters, like floods or mudslide, where people within a day, within a few hours, have lost everything. And he was mentioning, I remember reading about the man who lost his house, right, his surroundings, his community, things, a lot of things. But even after 6 weeks, he was still paralyzed. And when they spoke to him, he said that it's not the house, it's not the material loss that he's grieving, that he was grieving, but the emotional loss, like the things that had emotional value. Or let me mention which things, like he said that the kitchen cabinets his father had made, or the ceiling and the paneling of the basement that he installed with the help of his late father, deceased father. So the extended self of his father was in those things. So losing them felt as if he had lost the memories, the experiences, the connection he has to his father, right? The home and the neighborhood are often seen as maybe profound anchors of our personal identity. So losing them brings about that diminished sense of self. And I know this firsthand, like when war started in my country of origin, like Yugoslavia, millions of people, including members of my own family, had to leave their homes in search for safety, right? So they left things, they left communities, people, they left memories, everything. And although they have reached that geographic location that has given them sense of physical safety, they couldn't find peace. They were stuck in that process of destruction, for quite some time. I had a friend in high school. I was sitting with her in the same class. She fled from Sarajevo, and she used to tell me that if only I knew I was going for forever, right? I would have brought with me XYZ. She was constantly mentioning some music, some videotapes. She was like, you don't know what it's like. Like, my father just came in and said we are going to some, basement for a few hours, and I just left my home. I didn't look back. But 2 hours later I was in Belgrade, and I didn't have anything. I didn't brought anything with me. Like as if, I haven't ever existed. You don't have idea what it's like to be without things. Like things that belong to you, things that were part of you. And she made me promise. She kept saying, promise me, Natasha, if you will ever experience anything similar in Belgrade, you will wait. You just need 5 minutes. Grab a backpack and put in the books, music, pencils, I don't know, whatever, jewelry. She was always saying photos. Just save the photos. Wherever you go, wherever you will end up living, those items, if no one would know who you are, those items would tell you who you are. And then, but those items will keep you safe. And I remember when I went through my identity loss, I was reflecting on her words and thinking to myself, did she say that those items would keep me safe, or that those items would keep me sane? Because I felt that I was losing my sanity. Not just safe sanity, like it was that unsafe, right? So, as you can see, in these cases of forced loss, right, identity destruction or identity loss, the restoration of self requires first healing and then a radical identity shift. So it is often a complete 180-degree change of identity. And this process cannot be rushed. Person has to grieve. They had to accept the magnitude of loss before they start bit by bit, slowly, microscopic bit by bit, rebuilding that extended self, right? I don't know what psychologists, therapists, or grief counselors are saying about this process, but what I know from my own experience is that in this case, the energy or experience of destruction is with you forever. Because during that process, and especially healing, internally you become wired differently than most of the people who haven't been in that experience. Which means when you are reconstructing that new self, you are doing so with a different energy. On some emotional and spiritual level, you're bringing depth, or maybe layers of reality of that are unknown to the great number of people, right? So sometimes your approach, because now you know how reality is fragile and how it can be removed from you in a split second, so you cherish it. You don't take it for granted. And when you start rebuilding that new self, finding people, places, you approach them, your attitude, your approach is more gentle, you bring more care or more depth into that relationships, your relationship with things, with people, with environments, right? Or your creations. You put another, like, deeper or multi-layered version of yourself within it, right? So I know that a lot of people, when, for example, when they talk to me, logically, they don't understand what's going on. But they say they feel different, or they can sense some other energy, right? And that's how this process of profound loss can shift you forever, right? Radically shift you to become something different, something new, something you wouldn't be, right? If you haven't gone through that process. I know there is a lot that can be said about this, and I know that this story is far from being over, but this is all what I wanted to say today. So we talked about liminality as identity shift, as processes. Like, we have to keep in mind that there are two processes, destruction and reconstruction, that can be very intense, and we need to know what are we destructing in order to reconstruct, and that's the extended self. It's way beyond our body and mind, and it includes, if what Belk is saying, a lot of external elements we feel or call us, like, or consider as essential part of us. So I want now to ask you, look at around your room, look at your life, and tell me who or what makes up your extended self right now. Are you currently going through identity shift? Do you experience harsh identity destruction, or you are willing to let go because you know exactly what you want to create and you're ready for that renewal or recreation of self, right? Let me know in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please like, share my video, subscribe to my channel, or join my community at the website. I thank you for being there, for being here today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.